One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay villain. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay villain. It's BV. It's BV. BV. It's BV.
Yeah.
It's BV. It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
BV.
It's BV.
It's BV and Jellified, Jimmy Beam and Bly, reaching highest where we reach, yo, it's highest to the stars. Beats in the villain Jeep, vibrating other cars. Whose world is this? Yo, we say the world is ours. So we grow beards, no fear, photos so clear. Take another shot, so to speak, yeah, more beer. BV worldwide, put a fist to the sky. Cheers, cheers, New Year's, dope rhyme, good vibes. My crew speaks power, Chi-Town bleeds power. Knowledge, wisdom, and truth in the final hour. Respect, loyalty, family, charity speaks power. Here the village brotherhood speaks honor. Forwards and onwards, stay villain to the end. I will never shave again because my beard is not a trend. I represent excellence, leadership, and never follow. I'm a BBC member, yo, lieutenant of Chicago.
One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay villain. One brotherhood, one ship. Stay bearded, stay villain. It's BV. 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 Yo, all I see.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the bearded villains worldwide brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Welcome to Friday night. Guys, this was this was one of those nights. I do apologize. Those of you who are listening on regular podcast platforms will not get this, but everybody else that was here live right now, well, they've been waiting a little bit. One of those nights, you know, where you just have nothing working right for you, all sorts of technical stuff. And and everything was looking good earlier in the day, and then all of a sudden, and I had to redo a few things or a few settings, and everything had to compile. Well, you don't want to hear all that, but we're here now, and we're gonna have some fun. So thank you again for tuning in. This is episode 70 of the Heart of a Villain. We are gonna have a fun one tonight, because guys, tonight we're gonna talk to a brother from the Queensland chapter. And you know how I love to always bring in the international crowd, the brothers from around the world, not just here in the States, not only just because of their accents, but because of the stories, because of the advice, because of the things that they like to tell us. So this is going to be a fun one tonight. I'm going to be talking with Steve. We're going to be talking about a few things. And this was actually it was another one of those interviews that I didn't even have a clock on it, and it seemed like, oh, wow, we've already been talking for a very, very long time. So you'll have to stay with me here on this one, because it's a longer interview, but it was very well worth it. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff, everything from BV to some a specific charity effort that the Queensland chapter was involved in recently. And then on top of that, we talk a little bit about just life and what big changes he personally has gone through over the last several years. And a weight loss journey, and it's a motivational journey. And I'm telling you what, you won't want to miss it. You'll want to stick around for the whole thing, because I actually was making notes as this interview was going on. And what's funny is I shared a preview of this video, or of this a small snippet, blocked together a little bit, a few different snippets of this interview earlier this week as kind of a preview. And what was funny was, I said, as I was making notes during the interview of what I wanted to remember, little highlights, I wanted to key code things and say, okay, don't forget this when he said this at this time, when he said this at this time, because I thought, I was thinking ahead. I'm going to go ahead and use this information and make this little preview video. But what I found is that he said so many of these little great one-liners I wanted to keep that I couldn't put them all in. Otherwise, it would have been like a 10-minute preview, and really nobody's going to watch that. So this was a really fun one for me, because it was just when I thought we were having a regular conversation. It was one of those conversations where he threw in something, and you just kind of went, dude, you're right. That's incredible. So Steve was a great, great guy to talk to, and he was another one of those brothers. I hope everybody gets a chance to sit down and talk with him one day. I don't know when that's going to be because I don't know when I'm going to get to his part of the world anytime soon. But I'm definitely going to be hitting him up and checking with things, how things are going with him, his journey, and his chapter in Queensland coming down the road for sure. Those of you who are live, thank you for tuning in. I want to say a big thanks and shout out to all of you who are here right now. Rob was here. He was actually coming online saying hi to everybody when I was posting that, hey, we're going to be late. So I hated to be a joy kill on him on that one. But yeah, that was, I felt bad about that. But Rob, thanks for hanging out. I don't know if you've been hanging out on the, just hanging out here ever since you posted that first comment or not, but it's been an hour now. So, but hopefully you came back and all's well. But thank you, Rob, for hanging out. And thank you, Rob, for always being there. You're one of the handful of guys that's here every Friday night. I don't know if that's because you really enjoy it or I don't know. I won't presume, but we'll go with that. We'll pretend it's because you really enjoy it. Charis is in the house. So is Jay. 2 and 2. Two of our other all-timers in here every time. We love to see that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Ray, BV502 is in the house. Kevin's also here from ENC. What is up, guys? So good to see you here. So good to see you. I hope you guys really get something out of tonight's interview that I have with Steve, because even though we hear similar stories at different times in our BV journey and different as things go on, sometimes it's just the way somebody says something. It's just their tone. It's the way that they phrase something differently that just sticks with you. And one of the things, I will say it now because he says it 2 or 3 times in his interview, but one of the things I really took out of my interview with him was choose your hard. And you may not understand what that means, but you will after this interview is done with him. But choose your hard. And in this time when we have promoted and we've been pushing at the beginning of this year, after a terrible 2020 year that it was, after we've been kind of pushing everybody to try and come up with a phrase, or more specifically, a one word, as we did the one word challenge here, one word for 2021. And for me, mine was move. And others had a variety of different words, but choose your hard. I found that phrase to be something that I can really take with me above and beyond as I go through this year. So I'm really excited to see that and see how I can choose my hard, as he says. And I had never heard that before. So I'm excited to see that. For those of you who are not super familiar with this podcast and or live stream, or just don't know, I am BP. I'm the captain of Bearded Villains Northern Indiana, but also the host of The Heart of a Villain. And you can catch all previous 69 episodes, plus all this merch and fun stuff at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com or any major podcast platform. Download all the other previous episodes. They are out there. There's some really, really good ones in there, and there's some so-so. But it all depends on what you're interested in. So depending on what really gets you, we have so many motivational brothers that we've talked to already in just the previous 69 episodes. This is just another one, number 70. So I'm really excited to push forward and see what the next 30 episodes give us over the next 30 weeks as we push forward to number 100 later this year. As we push forward with BV events coming into play, things start to open back up again. I'm really excited to see where I'm going to see most of you out there in the world. I'm really excited about that because I am going to be going to events very soon, and I look forward to seeing everybody once again for sure. So one of the things that, I like to do here with The Heart of a Villain, especially here on the live stream, is to just kind of push out a little bit of information if any of our chapters are trying to raise money for something, merch or something like that. And since this is a video platform here, I like to show the picture if I've got it, if I've come across it, if they send it to me. Now, if you have something going on in your chapter that I don't share here, it's because I just couldn't find it during the course of the last week. So make sure if you have some effort that you're doing to try and raise money for something, give me a holler, and I'll stick it on here, and I'll include it in the next week's podcast and all the way until the time runs out for that. So as we do this, I do want to mention the South Mississippi Pride Patch is still available. I believe it is finishing today. I believe today is the last day, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I am, because I have been once before. But this is a really cool Pride Patch, and that's available at bvsouthms.bigcartel.com for only $8.50. I believe today is the day that they are done. So check that out if you want one, for sure. And then this just came across this week from our brothers down in Miami, BV305. You want to go to bv305.com to pick this guy up. There's a really cool shirt and a really cool patch that they're coming out with. That's a pre-order, I believe, and gives you a little story. There's a link in their Instagram story about why they're raising this money. Very, very cool story. Raising money for a young lad, and just go check it out. Hit up those brothers in Miami. They're always doing something for somebody, and check those guys out. See what it is they're doing at bv305.com. These green shirts are really cool. Big old shamrock with their logo on it. Always good to get the different colors. Most of my wardrobe is black if you're like me. But you know, we like the colors too, the color pops. And Miami is definitely known for that. So BV305, get one of these shirts. They range from $20 to $22. Also the patch coming out for $10. So always good for a good cause. And we love to see, and we really love to help our brothers out in that regard. I will say real quick, one last thing, and then we're going to get into our interview. I've had a few people ask about it, so I will share. I have a BP line of T-shirts coming out. I will be able to actually show some here in the next couple weeks, hopefully, to be able to show you what they actually look like in person with just my ugly silhouette on it. Hey, if nobody gets one of these, I don't care. I'm getting them for me because it's a soft T-shirt, and I don't want to pay big bucks for some other company. That's what I say before. But one of the phrases that I like to end the podcast here with, one of three that I usually end up each podcast with, is to remind you guys to be the villain that the world needs you to be. And so I stuck that on the back of this, two versions of this T-shirt here. So definitely, if you're interested, check that thing out down the road when it comes out. Just a good way to promote a positive message. Or if you just want a comfy T-shirt, it's all good. You don't want to have to pay $40 for one. That's something to do. Okay, guys. I am going to roll right in now. As I told you, I'm going to be here in the comments. We're going to talk live while this interview is going on. I'll give you some heads up when I know something really, really, really cool is coming out. But this is a really good interview. I thought I had a lot of fun talking to Steve, and I could have talked to him for another 2 hours. But looking forward to hearing your reactions from this interview, because it was one that's going to stick with me in a lot of different ways. Now, I will say this, two things. For some reason, sometimes when I reach out and do interviews with people overseas, when it's a long distance away, sometimes the video part lags just a little bit. And it did in this case. So those of you watching live, you'll notice that, but the audio stays the same. It stays solid. So try not to be put off by that. So, but the audio quality is there. Then the other thing is, about halfway through this interview, he picked up something rang into his phone or his iPad. So, but after that point, it was kind of funny because there seemed to be this little this kind of staticky sound, and we couldn't get rid of it. We tried. We edited that whole segment out when we tried to get that out, but it stayed in there. We haven't been able to figure out how that happened, but it wasn't up until the phone call. So, but really good content. I think you guys will really enjoy this interview I had with Steve. So I'm going to roll right into this, guys, and then we're going to talk about a few things afterwards. But just sit back, get your popcorn ready, Jay. Watch it on a big screen, push it up to a big screen, and just watch, just listen. Listen to what Steve has to say. Really good stories here. My guest today comes all the way from Australia. Yes, we're bringing back another Australia brother. This is going to be Steve, and he is the co-captain from Bearded Villains Queensland. He is a villain, a member, a scout, a loyal. He has been around for a long time, seen a lot of stuff. So welcome to the show, Steve. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I am fantastic, as we just said. It's as good as can be. We with everything going on right now, things seem to be kind of on our uptick a little bit now. I know here in the States, anyway, at least.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the vibe you're getting there?
Yeah, man. So in Queensland, the only active cases we've got are currently in hotel quarantine. And I think throughout Australia, it's pretty much like that. We've had a little bit of an outbreak in a couple of the other states, but nothing substantial. And I don't think we've had a death in months now.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's really good. I can't say the same thing here. I know every state's still having people pass away from it, but it's they're still opening things up a little bit. So I know my kids go back to school this week full time again. So they're going to be still wearing masks and all, but they're at least going back full time.
Yeah, that'll be so good. I remember when my kids went back, it was a relief for them, and they were only off for a couple of months. But I tell you what, I was ready for them to go back to school.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I'm amazed. And I kind of mentioned this last week's podcast a little bit, but in talking with other parents and talking with mental health professionals and everything, it's kind of crazy to see the toll that it's taken on, because we don't, as parents, being in, me being in my 40s, when your kids were sad or they just didn't want to do their homework or anything like that, it was a different thing back when we were kids. And now to see the toll that the pandemic has had on them with their mental health makes it a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Well, we see that a lot, like both at home, but also with what I do with work. Just the general toll that it's taken on kids, but also the toll that it's taken on parents. With us having to invest so much more into our kids than I suppose what even our parents were doing with us. And it's also increased the amount of interaction people have been relying on their supports and through their social media. It's quite interesting if you really look into the statistics of people and how they've reached out in different ways to be able to find community. And I think that's where with BV it's been integral for a lot of us, because we've not been able to have those face-to-face meets, and so being able to do things online and catch up with brothers all over the world, even though like we were doing that before, I think now it's been even more integral because it's been this online interaction has become an ingrained part of society now.
Yeah, it's. I enjoyed the aspect of, just about the time when things were kicking off with the pandemic, I started to realize, hey, I'm going to integrate this video interview aspect of things. So I was able to start talking to guys around the world. And so, I started to have a little bit of leg up in doing some of these Zoom things and these different phone calls and whatnot. But to think about, for the kids and the college kids and for everything to go virtual now, and now that you don't have access to your teachers so quickly, I know that, they do have, I think they have much more access to them actually than we did because of technology that it is, but still that you don't have that in-person teaching thing. So I like I said, I'm excited for the kids to be able to finally get back to that and to be around their peers, even if they're not real close with a lot of them, just to be in that environment again, hopefully will be a big bonus for them.
Yeah, 100%.
So, as I said before, you've been around for a while. Can you, for those of us, those people, I know that probably people in Australia know who you are, but maybe anybody that's in other countries, I know here in the States or anyplace else, can you tell us all a little bit about yourself and how you found the Bearded Villains and kind of where your bearded villain journey's taken you?
Yeah. Okay. So my initial BV journey was really, really funny. I'll get into that in a sec. So I'm Steve. I'm a dad. I'm a senior case manager for a company called Bravehearts. We support people, adults, and families affected by child sexual assault, which is really, really heavy sort of thing to talk about. So I won't really get much more into it. So yeah, I've got all up between my partner and I, we've got 6 kids. So I had to count them in my head because, you know, more than what I had in fingers on one hand. And yeah, so I know we'll talk a little bit later about my weight loss journey. I've lost 105 kilos in the last year and a half, which is, I don't know what that is in pounds, to tell you the truth. Because, you know, everywhere else uses metric apart from the US. So I initially found out about BV in 2014. And at that point I had 0 beard. I had my son, who's 6, had, and at that point, like probably about a month prior, stuck this toy into my beard, and it got stuck right up against my chin, and I had to shave it down to nothing, and I just started growing my beard. Again, heard about BV, and like just randomly when I was on Instagram, just tagging, you know, Beards of Australia or something, and saw bearded villains, and at my initial searching, couldn't see that there was a Queensland chapter. So me, in all my humility, I think it was the actual BV page or like one of the board members, and I was like, hey, so I hear, you know, I see you guys are like, you know, a club for guys with beards from, you know, all over the world, but I can't see anything to do with Australia, so I reckon I'm your guy. Yeah, here's me with like, I'm not even kidding, man, like maybe like 3 millimeters of stubble. And it was like a chin strap, like one of those chin strap, I've got a teenage girlfriend beards.
Yeah.
And yeah, I messaged them and I'm like, yeah, you guys need me.
You need me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 100%, man. And so, you know, next thing I know probably about 3 or 4 days later, I got a message from I think it was Jade Mann, who's the captain for the New South Wales chapter. I think it was either him or Brooke Noden, who's one of the board members. Just saying, you know, who are you, basically. And I gave them the same spiel, and they're like, yeah, we've got a chapter in Queensland, man. We'll link in with those guys, and, you know, if you're last, we'll see how you go. And yeah, I had to stay the distance, grow my beard beyond, you know, little man stubble, and yeah, the rest is kind of history, man. I have enjoyed every second of being part of the, you know, of being part of Bearded Villains, being part of the Queensland chapter. We've had, you know, like every chapter, we've had our ups and downs. You know, 2019, what was it, 2 weeks after I had my weight loss surgery, we had our Australasia meet where we had raised, I think, between our the external donations and the donations we got on the day, so the external ones that were donated to Bravehearts, we'd raised about $15,000.
Wow.
And so that's from, you know, all the chapters throughout Australia coming together for our big Australasia meet, because obviously, you know, Australia's on the other side of the world, and getting to the world meet costs us thousands of dollars to try to get there. Yeah. Yeah, that was just an absolutely amazing time. You know, before BV, I kind of felt kind of lost in the world. You know, I always felt like I was just an outcast. I was that weird dude who had tattoos and had a beard. It was like, and working in the profession that I work, I don't, I wear a t-shirt. I wear my cap because screw wearing a business shirt, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, sure.
And so I know when even now that I'm less than half the weight that I used to be. I know that now that I will still walk into a room and I get looked at because I've got sleeve tattoos and I've got the beard, always got rings on my fingers. So I'd always felt as though I didn't have a place in the world. And I met the guys from the Queensland chapter, and I can tell you right now, within, probably about a month, I realized this was my family. Yeah. That these guys, these guys are my people. They genuinely want to make a difference in the world, and they're actually doing it. They're putting their hands where their mouths, saying that they're going. Their hands are in there getting dirty. They are doing things. I think one of the first things we did was a toy drive for one of the Ronald McDonald houses that house the families who've got their kids who are in hospital. For when the kids are in hospital for long stays, so they go to the Ronald McDonald houses so that the families don't have to fork out thousands of dollars to try and stay in hotels.
Yeah.
And it was a Christmas charity thing, and so we basically through the chapter and through some of our friends and family just put out a petition for people to send us some toys. We went around to a couple of toy stores locally, and we turned up with a ton of toys there, and that was a real pinnacle moment for me to go, these guys are legit. It's not just a bunch of hairy dudes coming to sit around and have beers. That's part of it, don't get me wrong, right. But these are, for me, it was that sign to say that I understood what it meant to actually be a villain. That the cliche thing of the name bearded villains is showing that as a villain, it's actually showing that we are the opposite to what a lot of society shows. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
It's that thing of when chivalry's dead, those who are chivalrous are villains.
I like it.
It's the opposite to where some of society has gone. So to a lot of society, that brotherhood and that camaraderie is kind of it's alien, because society in general has become so self-focused. Yet as villains, we focus on our brotherhood, we focus on our communities, we focus on actually creating something that's bigger and better in this world than just a bunch of dudes sitting around. And that to me is the crux of, if you want to be a villain, you need to have that in your heart. You need to have that as an ingrained part of who you are. Do I want to, in whatever way that I can, whatever way that is within the scope of who I am as a person, do I want to make a difference in my world? Because you might not be, you might be one person in the world, but to one person, you could be their world.
Wow.
You could change your world a little bit, but you changing your world a little bit change one person's whole world.
Wow.
And
yeah.
That's, that for me is the whole premise of being a villain. It's, I've met tons of guys with massive social anxiety, and one guy in particular in our chapter who before BV would no way in the world would have come to a meet. And I think for probably 5 months, we just chipped away of just, showing him we're brothers, and, you turn up when you're ready, man. And now he's one of the most interactive people you'd ever meet. You know, he's at everything. He's doing everything. He's one of the people who is constantly driving things for us for, you know, what are we going to do next? You know, so to me, it's those little things, because for this guy, if he hadn't joined BV, he would have been stuck in that same world, that same you know, social anxiety mindset of not being able to do anything, because doing anything outside of his home or outside of you know, his comfort zone was. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, oh, sorry, my earphone just beeped at me. Yeah, doing anything outside his comfort zone was almost impossible. But through showing him true brotherhood, that true acceptance of where he was, he's now being able to step past that, step outside that, and make a difference in his world, and in turn his family's world, because they're not constrained now to where he's held himself back for so many years.
Yeah, I get that totally. You know, it's funny because I've heard that story a few different times from various parts of the world, and I think that just shows, one of the things I keep preaching on is just, it shows how amazing the brotherhood really is, and how it can do that. It can bring people out. It can really, you know, before we get as a brotherhood to change other people's lives, first and foremost, it changes our own lives. And yeah, that's a perfect example of that. Going back to when you started, it sounds like, because like I said, you came in pretty early on in the scope of when BV was around, but you said you came into an already established chapter with Queensland, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you came in, what was that? Have you seen a big transformation over the years as far as the focus and the drive of BV and the chapters where you're at? You know, where before it was maybe, you know, if it was focused on brotherhood or focused on charity, or if it was focused somewhere else initially when you came on, or do you think it's pretty much been focused in these certain areas ever since you came on?
So I think honestly, it's been very much focused like that in from early on, and I think each chapter is going to be different in the way that they focus. Queensland itself has always been a little bit, I suppose, different in the way that in how we focused things a little bit, I think. But from the get-go, we've always been about, you know, what can we do? You know, it's not so much the thing of taking a great selfie, though. You know, anyone in my chapter, anyone who sees either of my Instagrams will know that I am the king of selfies. Apart from maybe Mauro Conti, because, you know, he's the king.
Yes.
But I think that was kind of the thing of, I think someone coined a term when I first joined, and I can't remember who, but about the difference between someone who's a villain and who's just out there doing it, and someone who's an Insta villain, and someone who, you know, who does their stuff on Instagram. And I'm like, well, you know, why can't we just do both? You know, I post a lot of stuff, but everything that we post, and I know, you know, with the Queensland chapter, we drive it home that what we post is who we are. You know, you can't post something and fake it, because especially in Australia, if you're fake, you know, you're read like that. You know, it's not one of those things that you can, you know, you can pretend to be a certain way, but, you know, Aussies are really good at calling you out on your bullcrap, and they're not afraid to call you out really publicly. And you know, I remember even early on when I first joined, and I put up this bearded villains thing with me with this real, like, no beard. I had a mate send me a message, and he goes, dude, where the F is your beard, man? Like,
Yeah, that'll get you.
and like so. And I said, it's a work in progress. He goes, well, yeah, it needs progress.
It needs more progress.
Yeah.
That's good. That's funny. Let me ask you this. Kind of going into, because the reason I asked you about how things were a little bit different, if they were any different, back when you first started, is because that time frame seems to coincide with when many other chapters and brothers were starting out, and it seemed like then everything was specifically about the Instagram part of things, and the charity and the brotherhood aspect kind of developed over time. But it sounds like the Queensland chapter had a really good footing right there from the get-go on both of those ideas.
Yeah, I think honestly that was one of the driving things when I joined. It was that this is part of what we do. We went over the mission statement, we went over the core values, and that if you didn't align yourself with all of that, then you can't align yourself with any of it. That at the end of the day, Bearded Villains is focused on charity and family and community. Like that's the brotherhood is a major part of that. Without the brotherhood, we can't focus on that. But I think with the Queensland chapter, that's that focus on doing something to benefit the greater good has always been there. And I know Clinton, who's our captain, that's been one of the driving things for him, is that that this is who we are. As BV Queensland, as Wild Northmen and as villains, this is who we are. This is what we do, and we look at how people do that within their capacity, because some people don't have the capacity or the ability to go out and do stuff hands-on and go out and help out with feeding the homeless, or go out and doing labor work. So what we do is we look at the things that we want to do and talk to the guys about what is it that you can do. Like if we're doing a fundraiser for like Dry July, well, we've got guys who are already who are reformed alcoholics, so they might not necessarily doing Dry July for them is kind of a non-event because they're doing dry every day.
Yeah.
So we look at how does that person use their story for us to be able to be effective, or how within the scope of their life are they able to do this? Is this something that this person's okay with and or not okay with? And if a person's not okay with doing something because it might be a trigger for them, or they just don't have that capacity to be able to do it, then that's okay. I think when we look at it, not everyone's going to be super passionate about everything, and that's okay too. Every single charity thing that comes up, like we could easily every single month have 3 or 4 different charity events every single month, and raising money or doing things to do donations or do some hands-on work. But you may have there's a whole cohort of people in this world who a lot of that sort of stuff is beyond the scope of what they're mentally capable of doing, but that doesn't mean that if they're a villain that they shouldn't be part of a chapter. You know what I mean? Like what I think, especially in the leadership of the chapter with the captains, lieutenants, or however that works for each chapter, that's our job to be able to work with those men to be able to get them to be guided into using where they're passionate, where they have their abilities to be able to make a difference, because that's where they're going to make a difference. It was like I said before, you might be able to change your world a little bit, but by changing your world a little bit, you could change someone's whole world.
Yeah. I think you said something there I really like, and that's the ability for, as leaders, as captains or leaders of the chapter, for people to be able to recognize the differences between your brothers and be able to push them and utilize them in specific ways that not everybody's the same. Too often, I think it seems like that doesn't, we get the stragglers that kind of fall off, and it's not because of their lack of interest in the club. It's they haven't found their way within it yet. They haven't found their thing, and maybe that's sometimes our own faults for not, as other brothers, trying to push them and lead them to find their niche within BV that best suits them. So I really appreciate that you said that, because I think it's a really big point.
Yeah. Well, so a really good example of that is with myself, right? So I think I had joined the Queensland chapter, and I was kind of starting to struggle with, where do I fit? And Clinton messaged me, and he was like, man, I'm really struggling with posting stuff on social media. I'm not really good at the whole posting stuff for, to just try to just do it. And from there, he goes, you're a little bit of a social media whore. And I'm like, I am not a little bit, I am a lot of a social media whore, and I'm freaking proud of it. And so, that was where, with him obviously in the background checking things, I started doing, a whole bunch of edits and a whole bunch of Instagram posts, and in our little, your little blurb that you put up with all your hashtags, I inserted myself into it as the social media god. And that was my way of just, starting to push that, that little bit, and finding my niche, finding the thing that I'm passionate about, one of the things that I'm passionate about, and being able to use that, because I think social media is such an amazing tool to be able to make so much difference in people's lives. If it's used right, then you can be really effective in having people reach out. That our support with Quaden is probably one of the biggest things with that. Which, if you're looking through the Queensland chapter's posts, you can see what we did with that fella. Like, he is absolutely amazing, and like, I know his story went worldwide.
Yeah, tell everybody about that, because that was something, when I saw that, I immediately, I was floored, and I wanted to like read a story up on it. I wanted to find out more information, because I thought that just the bare minimum of what you guys posted about was so cool. And I actually hadn't heard about it up until I saw your post. So tell everybody about this thing, because this was a really neat thing you guys did.
Okay, so Quaden is a young Indigenous man from here in Brisbane, who I think he's 11. He's 11, and he has dwarfism. There was some things that was going on social media and in the Australian news, where his mum was basically advocating for him because he was being really badly bullied, and there was a video that went around of him asking for a knife so he could cut himself and end his life. He was like 9 or 10 at that point. And so, we heard about this towards the end of end of 2019, I think, initially. And so I sat down with some of the boys, and I'm like, this kid needs to know that he's got some supports in this world. He needs to know that if he wants to reach out, he's got some people he can reach out to. How can we do this? And one of the boys, I think it might have been Guy, who's one of our lieutenants, said, well, why don't we look at creating a vest? We're getting patches from all over the world. So we put that to the chapter, who we just went, every single person was like, that's a freaking dope idea, let's do it. So then from there, we basically just started reaching out. I reached out to the rest of the Aussie captains. We reached out, I reached out in the general captains chat. We reached out into, the other extending chats that we've got. And we covered this dude's vest in a whole bunch of patches. And if anyone sends us a patch and says this is for Quaden, all you have to do is have that written down, and I can guarantee you 100% we will get that patch to him for his mum to put on his vest. Because I think one of the things that I said to him when I gave him the vest is that I want you to know that anytime you wear this, anytime you look at this, anytime you're feeling like all you're getting is beaten down for who you are, for something that you can't help, that I want you to look at this and know that you got big brothers out here who 100% have your back. That if you send us a message, or your mum sends us a message, 100% we are there. And if you need us to come around to your house and give you a pat on the back, or sit down and have a chat, like, we're here.
Yeah.
And so we had patches from all over the world on there, and we had one on the back is like a little handprint that just says the bullying stops here.
Wow.
And his mum was just like just full of tears, and like I still speak to her a fair bit on my BV Instagram, and she said one of the first things that he did when he got home was that he wore it, and he said, "Look at me, Mum, I'm a little villain."
I love that.
And so this is a kid who, like, you can find the videos all over YouTube and Facebook and all that to see this kid was in a bad spot, and the fact that we got guys from all over the world coming together to support this one young man, like, that's what being a villain's all about. We did something that in essence is such a small thing. When you think about it, it's a vest with some patches, right? In reality of it, it's a vest with some patches. But we've shown a young man who was wanting to kill himself, who had attempts when he was even littler, that he matters. We've shown this young man that no matter what in life, he matters, and that he's got supports, that if things get hard, he's got people who he can turn to. That is worth millions of dollars. This is a young man who was terribly, terribly bullied, and we as brothers have been able to come together and show him that life is worth more, that his life is worth more, that his life is worth living.
Yeah.
And I hope that he takes that on for the rest of his life, that he takes that message, that he has that support beyond just his family, beyond just the friend unit that he's got, that no matter how long he's got left in this world, that if he reaches out to the bearded villains, any chapter, anywhere in the world, he's got some big brothers there.
Yeah. That's powerful stuff, man. I mean, it's changing lives, one life at a time. And to think, and it seems like a broken record thing, because so many of the different times when we have these really cool things that we do, where our chapters, our brothers are out there just affecting this hugely positive change in lives. It's that whole ripple effect. It's that thought that, changing his life. Okay, now through seeing that change, what are the amazing things that he's now going to be able to do? What are the amazing things that anybody else that saw that happen, his mom or anybody else, it just translates on and it transfers out. So powerful stuff, man. That's what it is. It's changing lives. It's amazing. congratulations to you guys for doing that, though. That's proud villain moment for sure.
Yeah, 100%. That was honestly just being able to take that to him and being able to finally get it, because like we had a lot of complexities through that. Like we'd initially organized to meet up with him, and then COVID just blew up, and so we had God, I think 6 months of just not being able to do anything. We couldn't get the thing to him because, as a person with dwarfism, he's immunocompromised. So we weren't willing to put his life at risk to try and, get a photo op or to try and, get this out to him. We kept up constant contact with Mum to show, we're still here, and we've got this ready. We're here for you guys. We just want to make sure that we've got the right time. And his mum was so thankful for the fact that we weren't just looking at trying to jump in on what was the social media and media wave of what was happening at the time. That we're actually showing that we cared. That it was beyond trying to get photos. It was actually us going, how can we effectively help this young fella?
Yeah. It goes beyond the photo op. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We got some lovely photos from that day, and that's wonderful. But at the end of the day, the reason for those photos isn't for the likes. It isn't for the comments and the good on you, bro. The old fist bumps. But that's nice.
Right.
But the reason for those photos, the reason for those posts, the reason for that vest is so that other people who are going through something similar, other people who might be just feeling alone, know that you can reach out to any of the Bearded Villains chapters, absolutely any one of them. And I can tell you right now that you will have someone there who will talk to you. You will have someone there who has your back. If there's another young person who's being bullied and they reach out, they know that. I hope that they see that if they saw that, they would know that they could reach out to us or to any of the BV chapters, and they'd have some big brothers there to give them some love and support.
Yeah. Man. Absolutely. Yeah. And you don't even know. The other great thing about that is by you simply sharing those 3 photos, or I think it was the 3 photos that you guys did share on your Instagram, other people, other chapters, other guys are going to see that and be like, you know what? I'm going to stick that in the back of my mind. And, if something happens, and I know there's other chapters that have done similar types of things, with, for somebody out there to, it could be from bullying, or it could have been from something else, a sick kid, that they went ahead and did a patch vest for. But it's those little things, and it's amazing how other chapters can learn from what some of our chapters are doing already. One of the big benefits, I think, to this whole international brotherhood that we have.
100%. It's that worldwide reach.
Yeah.
We make a difference for someone here in Australia. If that inspires someone in the UK or Iran or Asia, wherever, America, to do that for someone else, it's that whole premise of pay it forward. Yeah. Like we do it here to show other people that they're able to do it there.
100%.
I think it's one of those things of, as villains, we lead by example. If we want society to change, as Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100% there. Steve, I would be remiss, and first of all, thank you so much for finding some time for me to talk today. I would be remiss if I did not bring up another part of your life that you have involved yourself in, making a very positive health change for yourself as well. And I wanted to ask you about this a little bit, because here we are. We just jump-started into 2021. And I know for a lot of people, getting healthier is one of those constant, predictions that they make for themselves, the resolutions they make for themselves for a year. And now that we are, 6 weeks into the year. This is about the time when people's resolutions start to fall off on the wayside. They kind of, okay, I had the best of intentions, maybe next year, or maybe in a few weeks, different things. Can you talk a little bit about now? For those who are not familiar, Steve has had a dramatic weight loss, and he is much healthier now. He's posted pictures. I'll share some of these from his Instagram. He has some great transformation images of what he's done, and I'm gonna have you talk about that in just a second. While we were on another question earlier, you mentioned that you had lost how many kilograms?
105.
Okay, so I did the math on my phone quickly. That, for those of us here in the States, 231 pounds. I mean, 105 kilos sounds impressive, but for those of us that live in the pound world, 231 pounds, that's amazing. Incredible. So can you maybe give us a little bit of inspiration, advice, or something? What was the spark plug for you, and what keeps driving you on now, all this time later?
Okay, so the start for me was I was 205 kilos, 204 kilos, and I'd had my marriage breakdown. I became a single dad, and I suppose I came to a spot where I realized, crap, like, my kids, I'm the only one they had. I'm the only parent that, well, especially my older three, they hadn't seen their biological mother in many years. And I stood on the scales, and I was like, how did I get myself to this point? And I started beating myself up over it, right? And then I spoke to a couple of my friends, and one of the guys in our chapter has actually had weight loss surgery himself and has lost about 60 kilos. And he said, he goes, bro, you should think about it. If you've tried everything else, this is what you should think about. And so then obviously I had the surgery, and what drives me every day is that first thought that my kids need me, right? So if my kids need me, I need me. If I need me, then if my kids need me and I need me, and I've now got an amazing girlfriend who's sitting over here on a computer. Then they need me, but for them to need me, I need to be there for myself, right? And initially, like I worked my butt off to try and lose a bit of weight before I had my surgery, and I hit that. I think it was about 23 days into it, and I was like, nah, F this, man. Nah. I was like, I think I'd lost like 15 kilos at that point, and I was like, this is too friggin' hard. And I gave up, and then decided I wouldn't give up because I'd already invested the money into my surgery, and I tried everything else before in the past, and I just figured, you know what? From this point on, no matter what happens, my choice is to give up or give it all I've got. So from that point, I just decided I'm just going to give it all I've got. No matter how I'm feeling, no matter what's going on, I am going to do the best I can, however I can. That it's that that old Dory's quote, it just keeps swimming, right? Like, even on the days where I felt my worst and I just don't want to get up, I don't want to go to the gym, I don't want to put those shoes on, I just want to lie down and feel shitty about myself. Well, you know what? Sometimes I do that, but also I don't sit there and mull on it. I get up and I do go to the gym, whether that's that day or I go the next day. It's about not letting the little setbacks make a major difference. That major impact over something that you could just go, well, that was one day at the end of it all isn't going to ruin it. There's so many people who And I've heard it numerous times where someone will go, oh, well, I ate like crap for a few days, so I kind of just gave up. Well, so what? I have days now that I still eat like crap. Like, yeah, okay, my portions are like this big, but it's still that same mindset, right? Of going, well, am I going to let a temporary issue create a permanent answer?
One of the things you pointed out there, one of the things you said that really strikes home, I think, with me, and hopefully is kind of a big keystone to what you said there. That's important, I think, to note is, yes, you had the surgery, and so there may be people out there that say you took the easy way out, but as anybody can attest, yourself included, that's just step one, and the work has to you still have to be of the right mindset. You have to put in the work, or those habits that you had, everything else that developed that problem initially is going to be right back where it was. And there's been so many celebrities out there even that have had different surgeries, and it still comes right back on with them too. So it's not a magic pill that just you have a surgery and it stops. You still have to put in the work.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that my surgeon said to me when I first met with him is that you need to get into your mind, and you need to keep it in your mind that this is a tool. That surgery is a part. It's a small part. At the end of the day, it's a very small part, because all it's doing is controlling the amount of food you can put in. It doesn't control what you put in. It doesn't, so it doesn't control the quality. It can only controls the quantity. And there's ways around it to cheat it if you really want to. Then there's people who do that, and cool if that's what they want to do. But to me, like you said, it's the fact that every single day, I'm at the gym 6 days a week. I'm working my ass off 6 days a week. I'm 95% of the time eating really, really well, and I don't beat myself up over the 5. And I think that's really, like you said, it's one of those things that you need to work hard. If you don't work hard, then your body is just going to, you can go backwards. If you don't work on this part, which is, I'm telling you right now, like, that is the biggest, dealing with the mental side of it is the biggest fight when it comes to weight loss. Well, whether it's weight loss surgery or someone's losing weight without surgery, the mental side of it is absolutely the hardest part of it. There is, and no one out there who's had dramatic weight loss will come to someone and say, no, the hardest thing for me was controlling my food. Well, or the hardest part for me was showing up at the gym every day. Well, no, the hardest thing is, so I've got diagnosed body dysmorphia. So for me, I look in the mirror and I don't see what other people see when they look at me. I don't see a person who is now under 100 kilos. I don't see a person who has the muscle definition that I have. I look in the mirror and it's terrible, because there's definitely days where I still see myself at my biggest. And I look at every single flaw that I've got, and that's what I focus on. What saves me is turning and looking at my photos. Yeah. It's, I started my weight loss Instagram for me, for no one else but me, because it was me giving myself that dose of reality. It was me giving myself that little bit of a pump of going, yeah, dude, I think, the first one, I'd lost 20 kilos. I had the pictures of my face, and just the change in my face. And I remember, going to the guys in my chapter, like, yeah, man, like, look, check this out. And, them congratulating me. And it was that for me was that it's that constant reminder, but it's also that thing that gives me that constant want to be able to do more, to be more, to be better. And at the end of the day, I'm super competitive, and I just want to be better than I was yesterday. So if I lift heavier than I did last week, or if I run a little further than I did last week, then I'm beating myself. And if I didn't, then the week after that, I'm just going to go a little bit harder. Yeah. So I think it's finding that side of yourself and finding a reason to keep that side going, because the psychology of creating a habit is 23 days to create a habit, but only 7 to destroy it. Mm-hmm. So if you think about creating a habit and creating a routine, if you keep doing something for a certain amount of days, it's then a routine. It takes effort for you to then quit. It takes effort for you to then change that and destroy that habit, to go back and doing the old things. Because I think my coach says, everything in life is hard. Choose your hard. So eating healthy and being disciplined with what you eat and how you eat, and what you do at the gym and all that sort of stuff is hard. But eating like crap and growing older and dying early and having heart attacks, leaving your family behind with you having left this earth earlier than you probably could have if you'd lived a healthier lifestyle, is probably hard as well. Yeah. So it's about choosing that hard. Is what is my driving motivation to get up and get things done? Well, that's the hard that I chose. It's that what are my priorities in life? Who are my priorities in life? And the days where I don't want to do something, don't beat yourself up over it, because it's okay. It's okay to sit there and cry some days. It's okay to not want to hop out of bed some days. What's not okay is to let that always be something that you do. What's not okay is letting those demons beat you. The demons can have a chat. That's cool. Have a chat, bro. But they're never going to beat me. They're never going to get me back to that 205 kilos. They're never going to get me to be that sad man that was a shell of who I am now. They're never going to get me back to being a person who was honestly sitting there and just going, you know what? I'm either going to completely change my life, or I'm going to kill myself. They will never get me there again. And I think that is the conversation we need to have in our own heads, of going, what am I going to do? What is important to me? And what hard am I going to choose?
I love that. Choose your hard. I like that. That's a good one. That's something we can take with us for sure. Absolutely. Has there been like one aha moment in this journey for you with your weight loss, that you had a misconception about something, either in your working out or in the diet part of it, that you thought something, and in the process of either working with your coach or just eating better, learning better habits, was there one thing that you were just like, wow, like that was a light bulb moment for you to realize something that clicked for you?
I've had so many of them. I think for me, one of the biggest ones was when I went and did a workout with he was 18 at the time, with my 19-year-old son. He has, for as long as I've, he's been, following my journey, has said, Dad, I'm proud of you. And we had a moment a few weeks ago where we were in the posing room at the gym, and I've popped up a bicep, and he's gone, Dad, I'm actually really proud of you. You've changed your life, and you've done it for us, but you're now doing it for you.
Wow. And
my little bit of history of me, I grew up with a single mum. My biological father was a giant C-bomb, monster to say the least. So to have my son tell me that he was proud of me, that he's glad to have me as his dad, yeah, that's made every little bit of what was hard with this worth it. Every little bit of doubt, every mental milestone that I've had to jump, it's made it worth it, because I've been able to be the dad to my kids that I never had. You know, as much as I want to say that I'm, you know, that, you know, I did this for my kids and all that sort of stuff. At the end of it all, having my son turn to me and say, "Dad, I'm proud of you." You know, we often think that, you know, our kids, you know, and our kids love it. They love hearing us say that we're proud of them. And you know, my mum, when I was younger, used to always, you know, instead of you know us calling the old crack across the bum, if she really wanted us to understand how much we had upset her with something, and well, she did it to me anyway. She'll go, "Stephen, you have disappointed me." So, and as kids, we drive for our parents to be proud of us. We all, you know, it's one of those things. Dad, look what I did. Look what I did. And it's like, oh, that's great. And so, for my 19-year-old to look at me dead in the eyes and say, "Dad, I'm proud of you," that was life changing.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, wow. Yeah, Steve, I think I could talk to you forever, man. I think that's a great place just to kind of leave things.
Yeah.
What a great note to leave things on. Man, I know I'm going to be absolutely following your continued journey, both with BV, with the Queensland guys, but also your personal journey as well. Because I think that personal journey is going to make you a better person. It's going to continue to make your kids better people through your example. It's going to continue to push your brothers and push other people that are going to hear this story as well. So, it's you're doing a great job, even when you don't think about it in that context. And that's, like I said, that's why I wanted to get you on here and talk and share your story a bit, because I think, you know, people can learn a lot from you. So I'm honored to finally get to talk to you and get you on here, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Honestly, it was it's been incredible.
Yeah, Steve, thank you so much, man. Like I said, we're going to be following your journey, and I'll be putting up your Instagram accounts and everything so people can follow your journey as well. And just so you can say it to them while I put it up on the screen, what's your main Bearded Villain, or your main Instagram account, and then your weight loss Instagram account? What are those names?
Yeah. So my BV one is Bearded Super Saiyan, because I'm a massive nerd. And my weight loss one is Project Go Super Saiyan, which is another nerdy thing, obviously, because Dragon Ball Z for life.
Steve, thanks so much, man. It's great to talk to you, and have a great rest of your week, and stay safe as always, man.
No worries, brother. Catch you later.
All right, thanks.
See ya.
Guys, wow. You know, as I said, this interview was so much. It was one of those, you got to take a deep breath after it. That last part, man. Those of you who have kids, you know. And too often our kids tell us, you know, in other ways, not directly. You don't know how they feel about you. And all you want to do as a parent is do right by your kids. All you want to do is make them proud, is to better their lives. And to be in a position where, like he has done, change his own life and make his own son proud. I've seen that. I listened to it the first time. And what you don't know is that I have my little camera switcher here and I can switch back and forth. I specifically, right after as his voice was cracking, you could hear it in that story. As he was telling that story, I did my little camera switcher so it went solidly just to him and I was off camera. Because as he was saying that, I had to reach for Kleenex. I got teary-eyed. And when it came back to me, you could still see it. And he was too. And listening back now, I can say it was the same thing. You get the chills, all the feels right there, man. So Steve has a great story. He had so many great things to talk about in there. If you want some motivation and some inspiration, if you want some great tough talk, go back and listen to this later in a normal podcast platform. I love how he talked about what his coach told him, choose your hard. And that's different for every one of us. Your hard is different than anybody else's. My hard is very similar to his. And it's a struggle every day. It's a struggle every day. And I'm very happy that I was able to talk to him about that today. Talk to him about that this week for this episode of the podcast. If you are looking for an all-natural beard oil that will not only tame your beard and coarse hairs, but make your beard soft and smell amazing, check out Pulpo Beard Oils. Veteran-owned and made for today's beards, Pulpo beard products combine the best beard ingredients on the market with incredible customer service to ensure your happiness. Whether you need beard wash, beard oil, beard balm, or some fun clothing, Pulpo is the place to go. Feel fresh, feel savage, feel confident with Pulpo Beard Oils. Go to Pulpo Beard Oils, that's Pulpo beardoils.com, and use the code The Heart of a Villain for a discount on your order. Okay, guys, so we're going to roll in here to our calendar of events. It hasn't changed much. We've got a few things that have chimed in a little bit recently, but we'll get into that stuff. If you have anything that you want to add to the calendar of events, by all means, let me know, and I will add that to the calendar to share with everybody else so they can get to your event. February 27th, 2021, is the Bearded Villain Southern Indiana Polar Plunge. February 27th, down in Southern Indiana. Hit up our brothers with Bearded Villain Southern Indiana if you want to help out or donate for their Polar Plunge. That's, again, February 27th, coming up soon. Then we roll into March. Now, many people were looking forward to Nash Vegas. The official Nash Vegas had to be, I guess, squashed as we know it. Ironically, Nash Vegas was the last big thing that we had before the Corona thing. He really hit us. And I know we were all looking forward to possibly going back. So, unfortunately, they've made a little pivot into Nash Vegas. So now they have a thing called the Not Nash Vegas. The Not Nash Vegas. And it's March 6th, 2021 at the Flippin' Axe. And that is in Clarksville, Tennessee. Not Nashville, in Clarksville. So hit up the brothers with Nash over in Nashville, the Tennessee Bros, if you want to link up, hang out in Clarksville, Tennessee, not Nashville, in Clarksville for the Not Nash Vegas, and that is on March 6th. Rolling into May 21st and 22nd is DSV 5. DSV 5 is South Mississippi is your host, and it's in Ocean Springs for DSV 5. May 21st and 22nd. I'm really looking forward to that one. I want some warm weather. I'm tired of this snow. I got I don't know now at this point. Heck, I may have 20 inches on the ground. I don't know. Probably not quite that much, but it feels like it. May 21st to 22nd, DSV 5. South Mississippi is our host, and it is in Ocean Springs. June 11th and 12th is the West Coast Meet in Denver, Colorado. I wish somebody would tell me about that. Denver, Colorado is your West Coast meet site, June 11th and 12th. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. West Coast meet, June 11th and 12th. June 12th, on that same weekend, Knox Villains, hosted by the Smoky Mountain Bearded Villains. Knox Villains, always a good time. Raised a bunch of money last year. We know they're a great host, and Smoky Mountain's going to take care of us. June 12th, Knox Villains is your thing. Also, September 2nd through the 6th, if you're over in Barcelona, Spain, by the way, Bearded Villains of Finland and Sweden want to host. They're going to be in charge of the Villain Cruise 5, if you want to hook up with them. September 2nd through the 6th for Villain Cruise 5, hosted by Bearded Villains Finland and Sweden, if I can talk. It's in Barcelona, and they're going to go out in the water. Good times. September 24th to the 26th is the East Coast meet. That's going to be a good one. We missed last year's East Coast meet due to all the restrictions. September 24th to 26th, we're going to have it again. East Coast meet. BV West Virginia is our host, and it's going to be in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Parkersburg, West Virginia. Going to be good times there. September 24th to the 22nd. Let's try that again. September 24th to the 26th for the East Coast meet. Then we roll into September. Sometime in September, we don't have a date yet for it, but we know it's coming. September 2021, sometime there's going to be the Four Corners meet. If you know what the Four Corners meet is, it is a brothers-only hangout. Brothers only, no spouses, no significant others, no anything. Kids, just bros. Bro time. Bro time. Hosted by Phoenix, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. That's the Four Corners, for those of you who don't know. If you need some research on that, research it. Four Corners. It's hosted in Cortez, Colorado. Four Corners meet sometime this year in September. So hit up either the Phoenix guys, the New Mexico guys, the Colorado guys, or the Utah guys for further information. Wish I had any more, but I really don't right now. Don't know. Oh, guys, this has been a good episode. Really good episode. I'm getting good feedback so far, hearing good things. Everybody seemed to really like that interview with our bro down from Queensland. I don't know. I'm not an Uber nerd, and I don't know exactly what the significance of his Instagram tag is. I feel like I should have known, but I guess I don't. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm sure there's something I'm supposed to know about it, why it's called that, but I don't know. I'm not sure. All right, guys. Yeah, I don't have anything else for you on that one. Guys, that's going to wrap up episode 70. Episode 70 of The Heart of a Villain. Thank you guys so much for being here. Everybody that's been here live, thank you so much for hanging out. Everybody that's on a regular podcast platform, I really appreciate the hell out of you guys. You guys make this what it is. This podcast is as much yours as it is mine, and I really appreciate you guys being here. Remember, you can go get all the shirts, patches, pins, all the other previous podcast episodes at theheartofavillain.simplecast.com. I want to challenge all of you guys, as I always say, to be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. Finally, guys, most importantly, as we always finish this podcast by saying, it's okay not to be okay. If you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. So for now, have a great weekend. Enjoy the week ahead, guys. Take care. Stay safe.
With the B-boy twitch, grabbing my junk and shit like it's 86. Shelly told 3 stripes we on. Hey, you know the B.I. It's BV worldwide fantasy. Stateside across ponds, no borders. I am my brothers, keep your facial features covered. Stay feeling one brotherhood, one ship.